when you're spending a lot of money, you're buying everything you need. You're buying that skincare, the Korean skincare. You know how expensive it is. You've gotten that new wig, gotten that new shoe, gotten that handbag. It feels nice. You feel rich. You feel like, yes, I have the money. But on the contrary, if you're doing this without money you don't have, that is not being rich, that is being stupid. 2000 haitakunulia shamba, kuja ukule. 500 haitanunua Benz, kuja ununue kiatu. That mentality is our greatest undo. On the previous episode, I was sharing some financial tips that I have been learning from the psychology of money that I feel are very helpful. You don't hear them often, but they're very, very helpful. And I really appreciate the massive, massive response that I got from you guys. It was so exciting to engage with you, hear your perspective, know your thoughts. I really, really appreciate that. And today I'm going to be doing the part 2 of the same. So we're going to be talking again about financial tips. And today I don't have very many of them left to share, but today's tips are going to be very profound, something you've probably hardly heard out there. So this is going to be a very exciting episode. So if you're new here, karibu sana. My name is Rozitta, and welcome to today's podcast episode of the Corner Seat podcast. Yes, so let's just delve into the episode. The last tip that I shared on the previous episode was on the fact that no one is more impressed by your possessions as much as you are. And today we are going to start off by reading this quote from an investor called Bill Main, who once wrote, "There is no faster way to feel rich than to spend lots of money on really nice things." Like, you know, when you're going for that retail therapy, that is what we call it, or you're doing some girl math, so you've gotten a new Stanley Cup, got a new makeup kit, you know, it feels really nice. You feel very rich. So this is what Bill Main is saying. There is no faster way to feel rich than to spend lots of money on really nice things. But the way to be rich is to spend money that you have and to not spend money that you don't have. It's really that simple. So basically, his point is when you're spending a lot of money, you're buying everything you need. You're buying that skincare, the Korean skincare. You know how expensive it is. You've gotten that new wig, gotten that new shoe, gotten that handbag. It feels nice. You feel rich. You feel like, yes, I have the money. But on the contrary, if you're doing this without money you don't have, that is not being rich, that is being stupid. Stop it. In other words, if you want to buy stuff, use the money that you have, not the money that you don't have. And this is something I mentioned on the previous episode that I have had to learn for a very long time. Because what do you mean I don't have money for it? Here's the money. I can see I have 1,000 bob to order some KFC and soda and some creamy in. What do you mean I don't have money for the same? I don't have money for the same because as soon as I spend that money, I'm wiped out. So in other words, I am completely wiping out my account, buying something with money I think I have, but as soon as it's gone, then it's basically points me back to the point that I actually didn't have money for that. You remember the rule of don't buy something if you can't afford 2 of those items? That's the same concept in this instance. So you want to buy that Birkin, is it called? Yeah, that Birkin bag, and you can only afford one. You're not rich. You're going to be stupid for buying that one bag. But if you can afford to, why not? Feel free to enjoy your money. So this is what this investor is talking about. And also combining it with the point of getting loans. So many of us are wired to get Okwa. Is it called Okwa? I'm forgetting the name. Fuliza, yes. You fuliza money. that money you're fulizaing is not money that you have. And some people think that, oh, I have fulizaed this 500 shillings, so I have this money, forgetting you're going to need to pay it back. So in other words, it's canceling out, you're still at zero. So don't spend money that you don't have. Don't acquire for money that you don't have. But if you are probably taking a loan to start a business that's going to pay itself, wisdom, go ahead and do that. So this is the point that I got from this investor. And I think it was very liberating because sometimes I have the tendency to think I have all the money in the world. And so I go for retail therapy. I'm buying lots of things. I'm feeling rich. I'm buying stuff for my friends. And then at the end of the day, my bank account is just looking at me like, girl, what were you even thinking? And then I realized, wait a minute, I may have thought I had that money, but I didn't have it. I'm going to let that marinate for a second. Yeah. So one more time, there is no faster way to feel rich than to spend lots of money on really nice things. But the way to be rich is to spend money that you have and not to spend money you don't have. It's really that simple. But again, remember on the previous episode, we talked about the only way to stay wealthy is a combination of frugality and paranoia. So in as much as you're spending money that you have, remember also frugality is going to help you stay wealthy. Tip number 2 for today. This one blew my mind. So apparently wealth is hidden. It's income that has not been spent. I read this and I felt like everything I've ever known was just a lie. Because what do you mean that wealth is hidden? I mean, wealthy people are out there driving Maybachs, living in the poshest of estates, flying in and out of the country every single time. And that is rich. Wealth apparently is the lands that they have that you can't see, is the investments they have that you can't see. I was like, what do you mean? Well, this completely changed my mind. So, and then again, there was the point of probably somebody is driving a car that they're paying a loan for. So it's misconstrued. Yeah, that's the word. It's misconstrued to think that just because somebody is driving your dream car, that they are actually wealthy. Wealth apparently is hidden, and it is income that has not been spent. that was it for me. So it got me now analyzing all the people that I think are really wealthy. And turns out I may know very few people who are wealthy in real life. I know rich people, wealthy, not so many. And the fact that wealth is income that has not been spent, I think it did something to me. It made me realize that just because you're spending money does not really mean that you're wealthy. Just because you can subsidize fuel for the whole nation, that is good. But real wealth is what is behind the scenes. It's what is not spent, is what people cannot actually see. I don't know if I'm making sense. I hope I'm driving that point home. As heavy as it is, just focusing from the difference between wealth and rich, and knowing that what you're not spending is actually what is called wealth, is actually what makes you wealthy. Again, frugality and paranoia help you stay wealthy. Yeah, I hope I've really drove that point home, but that was really something for me. Yeah, so the next point is one of the most powerful ways to increase your savings is to not raise your income. I can already hear you going like, what do you mean? What do you mean? I mean, the more income I have, the more savings I can have. Let me finish my point. Okay, so one of the most powerful ways to increase your savings is not to raise your income, it's to raise your humility. Because think of it. Let's reason together. What makes you go buy that extra shoe that you clearly don't need because you have 50 pairs under your bed? What makes you do that? What makes you want to go spend all your money at a five-star hotel, and you could eat the same amount of money at a decent hotel and enjoy your food? What makes you do that? What makes you sign up for that golf club? Hmm. I think you know the answer. I'm not going to tell you. So, in this financial tip, apparently, not increasing your, I mean, increasing your savings is not proportional to increasing your income. You could be at the same income and still raise your savings. How do you that? How do you do that? You raise your humility. By raising your humility, you reduce your spending and increase your savings. I feel like I'm already done with this episode. I'm going to say that one more time. I feel like I started. This is what I mean. So we have, what do we have? We have income. We have our savings right here. Just imagine it at the middle, and over here we have your humility. So how we raise our savings is not getting a higher income, it's increasing our humility. By increasing your humility, you reduce your spending, which affects your income, and you end up raising your savings. Let's use numbers so that we can all understand this point. So let's say you're earning a salary of 100,000 and your monthly expenses come to like 80K. You've paid your rent, you've taken your car for service, you've treated yourself out, you've gone out for a spa day, you've done everything. 80K has gone and your savings are 20,000. But if you look at all these things you're spending on, if you can increase your humility, probably say, I'm not going to be going out thrice a week. You reduce your spending. And let's say that month, you're going to save extra 10,000 that you are using by going out every single week. You saved 10,000. Why? Your humility has increased. And then you look back and say, you know what? The only reason why I actually joined the gym was to be seen as a gym girly, but honestly, it's not for me. So you withdraw from the gym subscription, you end up saving 5,000. I hope you're getting my point. At the end of the month, instead of just saving 20,000, you've saved 35. Why? You increased your humility, your income is still the same, and your savings said thank you because they have also increased. So if you are spending on something out of pride or just wanting to show off, this is your sign. Increase your humility if you want to raise your savings. You don't necessarily need to have a higher income, which leads me to my next financial tip. I learned this from from a financial coach. Her name is Sarah Wanyama, and she said this. We were having a Google Meet on finances, and once she said it, my mind just oof. I don't know what happened to my mind. I feel like I somersaulted or something. So she said most times when you raise your income, your expenses also go up. Why? Because naturally you think, I have more money, so let me spend more. And that is the undoing of most people. That is why you're going to have somebody who is earning 100K who is poor than somebody who's earning 30K, because the person that's earning 30K knows I really don't have to raise my expenses. As long as I've paid my rent, I have my food, I have all my necessities, I'm going to save what's left. But the person earning 100K feels like I have so much money after I pay my rent, pay my utilities, pay all my bills. Now I'm going to take the boys out for clubbing. I'm going to go on a trip and whatnot. At the end of the day, they end up spending every single coin they have earned that month, which makes the person earning 30K richer. So just because you've probably gotten a promotion and you're earning a better salary, or this month you got a bonus, does not necessarily mean now you're one step closer to being richer. It could be so only if you make sure you don't raise your expenses. Because I mean, you don't have to fall to the default. You don't have to fall into the temptation of the default of increasing your expenses with an increased income. What if, just what if, let's say you are earning 30K at the beginning of this month, but at the end of the month, your boss says, I'm going to give you a 10% increase. That does not mean now you have 10% extra to spend. It means you have a very good chance of raising your savings by 10%, which is something most people apparently don't know. I was those people. And I look back, oh my gosh, I even have this regret. Like, did I really have to make that purchase? I mean, did I really have to? Because when I now need that money, I don't have it. I spent it, whereas I didn't really have to spend it. So you can analyze at your finances and look. Probably you're in business, like I'm in business. And let's say last month I had profit of 10,000. And then this month I have profit of 15,000. Does that mean I have 5,000 extra to spend? No, it means I have 5,000 extra to save as long as I maintain my expenses. So let's go back to the numbers. We are earning 50K at this point. Our rent is 20K. Food, transport, everything is 10K. So our expenses are basically 30K per month. So you save 20K. Well, it's not a very idealistic example, but let's just work with it. And then you get 5,000 increase on your salary. Now you're earning 55,000. Your rent is still 20K. Your food and transport is still 10K. So what makes you feel like you have to look for something extra to spend on just because you've gotten a 5,000 extra increase on your salary? Back to my point. So if you want to save more, you don't have to get a higher income. You just have to raise your humility, and then you can be able to save more. And I feel like I'm done with today's episode. Honestly, I feel like that was heavy enough for me to just end it at this point. So, yeah, you think about it. You uh, analyze your finances from the beginning of this year to where you are at right now. How are you dealing with your finances? Are you growing? Are you stagnant? Are you still there? And yeah, let me see if I have a bonus point for you. I'm gonna just pull this one out of my mind. All right, I've just remembered. I don't even know why I've struggled to remember this point. So this is a bonus financial tip. Trust the compounding effect of money. So many of us, for some reason, we feel inadequate or we feel like we don't have enough money to start an investment. And we feel like this money is so little, so I'd rather just go spend it. I don't know if you've seen this trend on social media where business people are saying 2000 haitakunulia shamba, kuja ukule. 500 haitanunua Benz, kuja ununue kiatu. That mentality is our greatest undoing because we feel like we have to have 1 million saved for us to start an investment, or You feel like your 100 bob is so little that you can't even invest it. So you'd rather just go have some chipomuitu somewhere. But there's the effect called the compounding effect. And the compounding effect, I don't know if you remember from school, we used to do this mathematical, um, what are they called? Problems. Yeah, they were called mathematical problems concerning compounding effects, higher purchases, something to the power of something, all those things. They were low key teaching us about compounding, except we didn't know how to apply them in real life, especially when it comes to finances. So think about this. Yeah, let's talk about what? Okay, so let's just use very little amount of money. Let's say you have 100 bob right now in your M-Pesa na inakusumbua, unashinda utaenda kuimalizia wapi? If you're that person, please listen to me keenly before you swipe out of this video. So you have that 100 bob and you decide, let me just put this somewhere, maybe in an MMF. Let's just say it's going to be in an MMF. And so many MMFs in Kenya allow you to deposit as little as 100 shillings. So you decide to deposit that 100 shillings, but it feels very, very little. Well, at the end of the year, it's definitely not going to remain as 100 bob. Based on the interest rate, let's work with 10%. Based on the interest rate, you'll have earned 10 shillings extra from your 100 bob. If you do that for 10 years without ever adding anything else to your 100 bob capital, at the end of 10 years, let's do the math. I've lost count. The compounding effect is going to guarantee you're not going to find your 110 shillings because at the end of that year, your 110 shillings becomes your new capital and it earns you more interest. And then you get 10% more from the 110. So that second year, you get 11 shillings more. So basically, you have 121 shillings after 2 years. Remember, we started with 100 bob. If you keep going, by the end of the 10 years, you're going to have gotten profit or money that you didn't have. Of course, remember, we are not saying you deposit 100 and remain there. I'm trying to show you the power of allowing your money to grow over time using the compounding effect, exponential effect. So, in other words, my point is don't look down on your little savings. You have 500 bob, you have 20K. You don't need to have saved up to 1 million for you to start doing stocks. As a matter of fact, today I just read as of August 2025, you can literally buy one share from a company. So let's work with KQ. KQ right now, they're selling their shares for 4 shillings and 90 cents as of right now when I'm doing this video. So if you have 5 bob, you can literally buy shares from KQ. You can buy one. So basically, don't look down on the amount of money that you have and feel the urge to just go spend it because it's not going to build you your dream house. Trust the compounding effect. Put that money somewhere that it's going to grow and keep depositing little by little. After 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, that money is going to give you good returns. Of course, based on the amount of money that you're going to be investing. But again, give time so that it can also reward you by giving you good rewards and good returns. So that is the compounding effect. And to conclude that point, that is how the wealthiest of people in the world have used the compounding effect to grow their finances. They didn't just mushroom one day and then you hear that the wealthiest. The Forbes list didn't just grow out of nowhere. These people trusted in the compounding effect. And when they got to let's call it the margin of what we could call wealthy people, now we started hearing about them. But behind the scenes, they trusted in the compounding effect. And that is it. So you go ahead, allow your little money, quote unquote, to grow, invest it somewhere, and give it time. Yes. I feel like I'm done. No, for real, for real. I'm done for today's episode of Financial Tips. Let me know anything else that you'd like me to talk about, whether any tips basically you'd like me to share on, how-to videos that you'd want me to talk about in the comments. But of course, remember to tell me if there's anything I've said that has made sense, or maybe it just didn't make sense at all. Let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to engage with you. Remember to subscribe to this podcast if you've not subscribed. And of course, share this video to somebody you love and care about, and you want to see them shining in their finances. You want to see them winning and prospering and living their dream life. Share this tip and help somebody change their mindset as long as finances are concerned. And with that, I've come to the end of today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. I was your host, Rozitta, and I will see you next week, same time, same place. Bye.